We do a lot more in escrow than just hold the money. Assume that your email is being watched by bad people. Exactly. Out-of-state buyers who are buying things online, sight unseen, and wiring money to people, not using a title and escrow company, you are so ripe for fraud. One can be what they call a general power of attorney, but it doesn't give somebody the right to purchase, sell, or encumber a property. So there's very specific language we need in that power of attorney.
Hey there, Suzy and I are here today with our good friend and Senior Account Executive, Assistant Vice President of Chicago Title Tacoma, Lisa Schultz.
Yay!
So we've got some questions for you. We try not to do the typical questions. What everyday people might find interesting about escrow and title.
What's the difference between title and escrow?
Oh, good question. I can answer that. Okay, so when you have a real estate transaction that is in a title and an escrow company, you might have different companies. So title is...
No, you only do Chicago Title.
Hey, that's my girl! So what happens is your title, think of it as a book report for your property. We are going back as far as we can, which is really cool, to look at who's owned the property. Are there gaps in insurance? Did somebody give somebody else permission to be on the property? Those are easements. Those could be boundary line adjustments. And I'm probably talking like this already. But the bottom line is, get to know what your property has. I mean, I've got examples when you're ready. So that's what title does. Title looks at the property. We ensure that we know that everything that happened prior to your ownership, you have security and peace of mind that no one's going to knock on your door and say, Uncle Harvey gave me this house. Escrow is the process to keep a neutral third party involved in the transaction so that somebody doesn't slide something in with somebody else sliding something in. So our job is to make sure the buyers have all of their stuff in, the seller has all of their stuff in, and that property is transferred in a legal format.
So escrow is involved during the course of the contract, and escrow ends when the contract closes, but title is an insurance policy that exists for how long?
Till you sell the home.
As long as you own it. Okay.
Yeah. And what's interesting is, depends on what state you're watching this in. Some people have the seller pay for the title policy.
Yep.
It's based on your purchase and sale. Some, as you guys know, have the buyer pay for the policy because they're the ones who might be using the insurance. So it depends on what state you're in.
So what is the biggest myth that people have about escrow and title?
The biggest myth that people have about escrow and title is, it's not a myth, it's their lack of understanding. What do we do? Right?
Totally.
So it's like, who are you? What are you doing? And why are you asking these questions?
And it's usually on the phone.
It's always on the phone or encrypted, right? Yeah. So that is one of the biggest myths. They think we just take the money and sit there and prepare documents, but not all documents. A lot of people think we do all the documents, right? You guys create the purchase and sale. They think we're out there typing us and our little elves, and we're typing deeds of trust and promissory. We're not doing that.
So people often think that escrow just holds money. That's when they write that earnest money check, it's $5,000 and you just kind of hold it.
Well, that's funny you say that, Suzy, because sometimes people don't think we cash it. So know this, if you're working with an escrow company, by law in the state of Washington, we have to cash and make sure that those funds are good.
And it's usually cashed like 1 to 2 days.
It has to be deposited in our account depending on our state, but this state requires 24 hours.
So when the buyer writes that check, there better be something to back it up right off the bat.
We have come into this century of technology. So there's ways that we can deposit with clicks of your camera. We can do cashier's checks. A lot of people don't have checking accounts anymore, so they just want to wire funds. We can do that too. We do a lot more in escrow than just hold the money. we are creating the legal documents to transfer that property, and we have a legal obligation by the state to have that property legally transferred without any sort of prejudice or bias for the buyer or the seller or the lender or the brokers.
But you're officially a neutral third party.
We are a neutral third party unless, and there's some escrow companies out there, they will disclose. We are not a neutral third party. We are working on behalf of maybe a builder or a buyer or a seller. So it really depends. So read your escrow instructions carefully.
What's the biggest mistake buyers or sellers make right before closing that delays it?
Ooh, that's great. Oh, so glad we're doing this. This is a public service announcement from your brokers, lenders, and title people.
Well, it's funny because the little things you do or don't do make a huge difference to the timing of a transaction.
100%.
Yeah.
So some of the things that they do is they don't fill out their paperwork. So what escrow and title are doing, as we've talked, they're clearing things up. They're trying to get a bigger picture. So we send out a seller's questionnaire and a buyer's questionnaire. If those questionnaires aren't filled out, it also has authorizations for us to order payoffs and insurance information and homeowners association. So when those get kicked down, there can be a delay of closing. So number one, fill out all the paperwork that's sent to you. If you have questions, call us. The second biggest thing is being out of town and not telling anyone.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because we need
usually
you to
we will
sign
ask.
papers.
Yeah. And there's ways to go about signing the paperwork even if you're out of town. So for instance, we had a transaction where we had somebody, the buyers were in South Africa, they were in the Philippines, and they were in Pennsylvania. All three buyers.
Yep.
And you guys closed
ugly.
it. It was, the paperwork was all over the place. Nobody had to come in. But the point is we knew exactly where everybody was going to be and let them know.
What's so great about brokers is they can send you a purchase and sale agreement, right? And you did you sign, or what do you call it? Authentisign?
Authentisign.
So you can authentisign. And the lender prepares their documents. And what do they have them do? Authentisign. Escrow and title are dealing with counties and government entities. Sometimes they don't allow authentisign. So our buyers and sellers think, I'll just be able to authentisign while I'm on a plane, or I'm in the airport, or I'm on a cruise. No, there has to be certain documents may require a notary who needs to see your cute little face and needs to either do it in person or virtually.
There's some paperwork that actually needs wet signatures, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. We're going to see that change. So lenders, a lot of the lenders are trying to get 90% of their paperwork done without wet signatures, but the county still wants wet signatures.
Yeah.
And what's a wet signature, Susie?
They're actually using a pen.
Pen to paper is
Not
a wet
that
signature.
kind of pen, but
It's not leaking. It's not leaking your paper.
the other thing that people probably forget to do is bring their ID.
Oh, yes. Or it's expired. Oh, it's expired. I haven't been driving for, no, I have, but clients will say, I've been driving for 4 or 5 years, so this is it. This is the best I got for you. And we don't know that they're valid.
So one of the other big things about title that everybody hears about is fraud.
Wire fraud is when someone has notified the buyer or the seller, mostly the buyer, that this is where we send the money. So they have texted the buyer, hey, here's your wire instructions for your upcoming sale. And the buyer has wired to those people, and they're not part of my company. They have sent the buyer's information where they say, this is where you wire or when you wire out. So that's the kind of stuff that happens, or a seller may be intercepted. FYI, wired money can be out of this country in less than 18 minutes.
So, what's the prevention? How do you protect yourself against making mistakes that could cost you a fortune?
Assume that your email is being watched by bad people. Purchase and sales come in.
Yep.
I just bought a house and I posted it on social media. I'm excited about my new house. I just sold my house on social media. I'm under contract, right? So just be very, very alert to who's sending you the information. Don't be afraid to go, who will I be receiving this information from? My company will not wire without verbal verification before we wire. This is the account you want us to go to, because we may get bad information. So we want to verify. I signed a woman this week and I told her, we will not wire your funds until we speak to you. And she goes, well, I don't have voicemail. I'm normally out at the storage unit because I'm moving. Can I call in and verify my money? So we found a specific time that we're going to go virtual with her and we can see her and we're going to write down the stuff for verbal. So if you're working with people who don't care about that, a red flag should be raised.
Yeah. Now, that's not the only level of fraud, though, is it?
Correct. This is beating wire fraud because people are starting to get smart. This is called seller impersonation fraud. And it might not just be to sell the property. It might be to get your earnest money.
Sometimes it stops right at the earnest money point, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. So how does that work?
So somebody will put in a purchase and sale, and that seller is not the actual seller. Maybe they've done the research through county records that the seller lives in Germany. This is a true story. And so they put the house up on an online real estate place, and it says for sale by owner. They put the contract into our company, and we're working through it, and it was a $50,000 earnest money deposit to be released by the seller within 10 days of verification of funds. So the buyer brought the funds in, we verified it, it got released to the seller, we never heard from them again.
Sounds like this all boils down to hiring experienced professionals when you're doing something serious like this.
They are so worth it to keep you out of lawsuits, to keep you from losing something you can never give back. You don't need it.
Now, one more fraud that's starting to come up is elder. That's one more to be aware of.
It is, especially for those people who are elderly and they are living in their homes and maybe the home needs some improvements. So people will door knock and offer $10,000, $15,000, and then they record a 7 to 10 year listing agreement because they gave these people cash and they don't understand what they're signing.
One of the big issues right now is that we've got boomers that are aging, right? And so children are starting to take care of their parents, or they're getting to a point at which they need assistance. So there are POAs. So what are POAs?
POA is a power of attorney. It's a document that says, I, Lisa, am giving Dawn the right to sign paperwork on my behalf.
And sure, it has to be Dawn.
Okay. Well, I'll give you financial and I'll give you... And there's different kinds of POAs. So there's health POAs. There can be a general. There's a specific. Title and escrow companies want specific power of attorneys. Some escrow companies will prepare those for you. But we want to make sure why we're preparing it, right?
Why might they need a POA?
We see it so frequently, just like you said, with the boomers coming in. Mom is selling her house that she raised her children in. She lost her husband a year and a half ago. The daughter's a POA. She doesn't want to think about it. She doesn't make these financial decisions anymore. The money's going to her to maintain her lifestyle. But it just upsets her, and she doesn't want to do anything wrong, right? The older the people get, sometimes they're more fearful about signing documents, and they're not doing their finances.
What kind of mistakes do people make with POAs that you have to fix?
One can be what they call a general power of attorney, but it doesn't give somebody the right to purchase, sell, or encumber a property. So there's very specific language we need in that power of attorney in order for you to sign on behalf of the sale or the purchase of a property. And then all of those things need to be approved by a lender. So whether the seller's using a power of attorney or a buyer, the lender has to approve that documents will be signed by a POA.
So when Escrow says we need copies of all this stuff, this is why they need copies.
And now that we're becoming more sophisticated, There's a lot of couples who want power of attorneys, right? One's traveling, doing a bunch of stuff worldwide, and they're just hard to reach. And so it's just easier to give the other spouse or partner the power of attorney.
The other place we see it a lot, especially here, is the military. We get a lot of POAs because people are going out, they'll be gone for a while, and so they get a lot. We do a lot of POAs for that too.
Absolutely. And my company is very veteran friendly. So a JAG POA, as long as we review it, it has the right verbiage, we will carry on with that. And honestly, our military is amazing at allowing us to have their military sign when they're abroad.
And if you have more questions about title and escrow, hit us with a direct message right now, or you can reach us, Suzy and I, at Rethinking Real Estate. That's rethinkingre.com. And Lisa Schultz is available at
253-241-6317 LSCHULTZ at ctt.com.